Welcome to Unfit Statesman with Zach Brown.
Yeah. Welcome back, folks. Audio listeners, that was nothing. That was just me taking a big old dad sip of fucking red Gatorade. That's what we're doing these days. Sugar-free, of course. I'm a fat fuck, and I have to watch my sugar intake. Not because of diabetes or mesothelioma or cholesterol. But because sugar makes you fat and gross. And I was shaving my penis today. And because when you get a little bit of a stomach, it's harder to shave your penis because you have to pull it in a little bit. Now, I'm luckily not a person who's ever experienced true morbid obesity. I'm not really near that. I'm coming in hot, I just realized. Oh, fucking high. I'm high on the levels today, folks. And so it's brand new understanding and respect for what those gentlemen have to go to. The BB Dubs, big, beautiful wispies. I call them wispies because they had yet to shave their pubis. It must be a nightmare being an obese man and shaving your pubes, because I'm a little bit fat. Yeah, I'm a little bit fat and gross, and it's no easy task. It's no easy task. And by the way, I don't think it's an easy task for thin gentlemen either. It's kind of an art that's never been perfected, right? And don't tell me art's subjective and that you can never perfect an art. Shut up. But don't shut up, because you're right, because this isn't an art, it's a science. The shaving of the penis is most certainly a science, and it's never been solved. It's almost like a math problem, and it's never been solved. Isn't there a Yang, I think it's called Yang-Mills. There's a Yang-Mills math problem that's never been solved. And I think if you solve it, they give you $1 million. They give you $1 million, and you will see of that $1 million, 432,000 of it, because a lot of it will be going to the government in taxes. Okay. But if you can solve the Yang-Mills equation, it's $432,000 right in your back pocket. Okay. One should probably Manscaped. Listen, I know that you've come up with a product that greatly aids in the process of shaving the pubes, but I certainly hope Manscaped wouldn't have the pretentiousness to say that they've perfected the science of shaving your pubes, because it's not true. It can never be true, right? Or, I shouldn't say can never. Never say never. Science evolves. But if you're a person who is innately intelligent and can perfect the science of shaving your penis without hardship, we'll say, you should get $1 million. Right? Now, don't come back to me with, oh, you got to use this and do this. No. I want a solution. I want a full package solution, turnkey, white glove. Don't fucking tell me this will help. No, this will solve it. Come back to me and say this will solve it. Don't say this will help. Don't say that this is an aid. Okay? Yes, drinking fruit punch flavored sugar-free Gatorade as opposed to sugar Gatorade is an aid. It helps because it helps me not get so fucking fat. Okay? I don't even like the sugar-free that much. I can taste the difference. I can taste the difference. I like the flavor of the Gatorade with sugar in it. I like red Gatorade with sugar in it because I have the palate of a 9-year-old boy who was raped on Epstein's Island. And they don't have that. They weren't shaving their penises. They just didn't have pubes yet. They didn't hit puberty, and they were being raped. And we should always remember that. Never let the Epstein story die, folks, because that was an insane story. At this point, it's almost a cliche. It's almost entered the realm of absurd. And anybody who brings it up is like hack. We can't let that story die. A fucking CIA Mossad asset ass raping little boys and girls on an island in the Caribbean, and they let our guest is here. Thank God. Hello, Tyler.
What did I just walk into?
This is the intros. So every while I like to start my episode, instead of doing it from the beginning with the guest, I like to roll start. Yeah, right. Like here's a tip
Is this
for you
part
folks.
of the show then?
Yeah, we're recording.
Welcome.
This, you thought I was doing this with not the. You thought I was just doing this.
I don't know. I don't know what you're doing.
Did you actually think that you just entered this virtual studio with me on a rant for no particular reason whatsoever?
Here's what I
talking
like
to nobody?
Think. Yeah, this is what I like to think. That you sit down and then you just hit record and you just go. And then some of that makes it into a show. Some of it you send to your girlfriend. Maybe mom sees it. I don't know.
Mom stopped listening to these quite a long time ago. And she held on longer than I think most mothers would. But I told her over and over again that there is not mom-friendly material in the podcast.
Right.
I was talking about shaving my penis just now. And I've gained. I got to lose about 15. 15. Probably we could probably do 20. And I shaved my penis, and since I have a little bit of a stomach now, it's harder. And I was talking about how the shaving of the penis is a science. That's nobody's really solved that equation. Do you know Yang-Mills gap? That's what it's called. Yang-Mills gap. It's a math equation that hasn't been solved, and I'm pretty sure if you solve it, you get $1 million. Shaving the penis seamlessly should be added on to the list of math equations that haven't been solved yet. But once they solve it, it'll be like an entirely new mathematical genre altogether. This is an entirely new genre. I don't
want to spoil it for you, but I've done it
seamlessly.
And look,
well,
I'm going to out myself a little bit here. I have a special skill with shaving. Okay. I don't want to get
You can retract your penis all the way into your body like sheathing a sword.
No, look, this is going to sound hyper gay, okay? And then you're going to say, hey, perhaps trans. But so I was a professional cyclist for years, and I was racing my bike since I was like 12, shaved my legs. I shaved my legs probably longer than my wife has. So with that comes a lot of grooming skills. And years of practice. That's all I can say is I'm adept with a knife. Knife. Oh shit! Could you imagine shaving your
single? I mean, single blades basically.
Yeah. Let's not record this part. Let's just go. By the way, losing 15 pounds, I'm with you on that. And my wife put me on like some keto diet. Like I know you worked that over, and it sucks. I'm miserable.
Yeah, keto's horrible. So here's the real issue. I, of course, have every intention of losing 15, 20 pounds, right? Especially like once it's in your head and you start like realizing you're like, oh, fuck, I do need to. And then it like never leaves your head. You're like, I have to fucking lose this weight. Like I got to get, but I don't want to change anything. Okay. Now you might say, but that's what a dumb thing to say. To get different results, you have to do different things. You're gay. I believe in the power of the mind. I believe in the power of the mind and drinking sugar-free fruit punch Gatorade. If you change nothing, but you go on a podcast with a sugar-free red Gatorade, and you announce that you are, what do they call that? Manifesting. I'm manifesting. Okay. I'm going to manifest a loss of 20 pounds. It's almost the inverse of manifesting. I'm actually taking something away from the universe. By the way, we're talking things that people have never done before, folks. We're talking about the Yang-Mills gap equation. We're talking about seamlessly apparently Tyler just conceivably shave his penis. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe that for a fucking second. Seamless. I don't believe that for a second. And we're going to come back to
seamless. Because when I hear that, all I'm thinking of, hey, when you're done, it's baby smooth, and I don't see blood.
When I say seamless, I mean you don't struggle stretching the scrotal canvas.
Okay. No, you're right.
Yes, and so that's what I mean. What I'm attempting to do is develop a process which can be replicated that makes shaving your penis as easy as shaving the face. Right? You're never going to have perfection. Yeah. We're not ladies. We don't get a smooth leg to shave on. No, we have contours and shit. But the penis is more than contours and jaws and shit. The penis is a vast. It's like, you ever seen pictures of the Badlands of South Dakota?
Yeah, of course.
That's what it is. It's like trying to shave the Badlands of South Dakota with a 35 by 35 mile razor. You're not going to you can't get in the place. It's too much.
Good point. I can see why your mom tuned out.
Yeah, well, and she listen, this was a topic we usually discussed, so I don't know why she even tuned out. I said, Mom, how do you shave your penis? I don't know. I said, how do you seamlessly shave your penis? Right. Are you a buzzer guy, or
what do you mean buzzer?
Or what do you
electric?
Yeah, electric razor, sorry.
I used to do one of those. The only time I for the most part I have a blade, just because it's more convenient. I don't even know about that. I do it in the shower. I sometimes if I have a heavy grow, like when I grew a beard, and you got to cut it down. Sometimes it's best to like trim it down with electric, which I do have, just to comb the weeds out, and then you can really get to the nitty gritty. But yeah, how about yourself, sir?
I use electric.
All right.
I don't like taking it down to the skin.
Okay.
It makes me. I don't know. I feel as if I get very irritated in all the crevices, and all the suburbs of my penis get a little irritated.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about your face. Yeah. Okay. Or that.
No, I never take the face down either all the way. No, I like to keep a layer of hair. It's good when you have blonde body hair. It's good to never get rid of all of it. It's good to keep a layer. There's a reason why that wisp that the Irish have, and the Scottish and the English, and it's there for a reason. It's because they know that your skin can't handle the elements, and you need a layer of protection between you and the air. Okay, like keep that there. It's
So you're claiming you're blonde?
No, but I have blonde body hair.
Oh, okay. Okay, you have that going for you.
I do have. It's crazy where hair grows in red and where it grows in blonde for people with red hair. Obviously, my hair is red. My facial hair is red. My pubes are red. Everything else blonde. Not a single other spot is. It's nuts. I don't know what the fuck's
body's
going
fascinating.
on.
Yeah.
The body is fascinating. There's a spectrum, right? Unlike gender, there is a spectrum of bodies to be observed and analyzed and mocked and criticized and admired and masturbated to. One of the bodies that I'm very impressed with is actually playing in a football game right now, an NFL football game. It's playoff ball tonight, folks.
Yeah.
It's a cold fucking day in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium, and God forbid, CJ Stroud. I haven't the past maybe 20 minutes I haven't been watching the game, but God forbid CJ Stroud can throw a fucking passing touchdown. Are you fucking kidding me? This is what you get with a light-skinned quarterback. Oh, Mahomes. Yeah, well,
I don't want to tell you what's out. Did you see? Because I saw it at halftime and it was 10-10. And people,
it was 24-10 when I left.
Okay. It's worse than that now. Yeah, but
what's the score? Tell me the score.
31-10.
Who scored?
I don't know,
I have bets in.
Oh, gotcha.
I had CJ Stroud throwing.
I'm just looking at the box.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. My bets didn't hit. I'm not going to bet on the Niners game. I kind of hope Green Bay wins.
I'm a Niners fan, so I'm pulling for them. But whatever. Philly's out. That's good.
I always forget
Dallas
that you're in California.
Right. Yeah.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
I always assume that the people that I'm talking to on my podcast are never from California. I don't know why.
Just right next door. Yeah. I'm always assuming that someone's from back east when I'm talking to them. So
are you from the East Coast?
No. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and then was out in Colorado, and now I'm here. But
okay. Well, that is just a fucking cocktail of fucking weed and cargo shorts.
Right.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I was right in the middle of the the flannel shirts. So yeah.
So you must have. Did you grow up in Oregon?
So I'll tell you exactly where I grew up because I don't really care. It's a town called Milton Freewater. It's in Oregon, but it's right across the border from a town called Walla Walla. People probably heard of that. It's like directly 250 miles east of Portland. So right on the Oregon-Washington border there.
Okay. Do you know the town Chehalis?
Yes.
Do you know the town Centralia?
Centralia? Yes.
Are they both in Washington?
Yes. Those are more towards the eastern Seattle area.
Yeah, I've been to both of those.
Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, that you picked the Niners over the Seahawks.
I'll give you all the... If you want to talk sports, here's the deal. My dad grew up in the same town, okay, that I grew up in. So, but he's older than me. He's 83. So when he grew up...
Before San Francisco was gay capital of the world.
Right.
Shout out that fucking announcer.
But before the Seahawks were a team, before, Seattle Supersonics, any of the Northwest teams were a thing. So he's listening to the radio, and he's got the 49ers. That's the game he can get. Radio waves, they go a long way. He had that. He had the Los Angeles Lakers. And then there was no baseball team this side of the Mississippi in the late 50s, early 60s. So he was a Yankees fan. So I've adopted, here it is. And it sounds bandwagon-y, but it hasn't always been. New York Yankees, baseball. Los Angeles Lakers basketball, and 49ers football. And the 49ers until 82 were shit. So there was some tough times. Yankees, the whole Don Mattingly era, there was nothing we had even going. So, there's some dry spells there. Basketball was pretty good. And now I hate the Lakers, even though they're the only team I care about.
Let me tell you about my sports history because it's very similar to yours. And for those of you who are like, I don't like sports are the circus for the give them bread and circus. Well, you've had plenty of bread, so let me have my circus. Okay. And I've had plenty of bread, which is why I'm drinking sugar-free. It's all full circle, folks. I grew up in South Dakota, Vikings, Broncos, Twins, Rock. It's East River, West River. I didn't want to do that. My dad was a Dolphins fan because he's like Dan Marino. Mom was a Bears fan, so you just pick. So if you don't do the Denver teams or the Minneapolis teams, the Minnesota teams, you just pick. So I picked the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
which God forbid they get the first fucking round pick this year, but they traded it to the Bears like 2 years ago or something. What a fucking nightmare franchise. Oh, Bryce Young. Yeah, real good. Real good picks. And then these two teams I actually don't care about anymore, but I used to. So I like the Panthers. I like the Dodgers because, and I didn't like the Dodgers until Manny Ramirez went over there from Boston because I like Manny. Because my grandmother was a Yankees fan, and I liked it when she was upset. So I liked the Red Sox
Right.
kind of, but I really like Manny because he's a fucking sloth.
Yeah.
And so he went to the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers. And then the Knicks, I like Carmelo. I liked the Nuggets for a while, and then Carmelo went to the Knicks, and so I followed him. And now I don't really give a fuck about the Knicks or the Dodgers, but I still like the Panthers. And that's, listen, folks, you want to know how there are some people who don't understand why people like Red Zone. Like some people like they want to watch their team the full game. Sit down as a Panthers fan and watch the fucking game and tell me you wouldn't rather be watching Red Zone.
Right. I'd rather watch Ray Caruth escape. Do you remember Ray Caruth? He's when I think of the Panthers. Oh man. So
Ray Caruth. This
Caruth.
must have been like in like the 90s when they like really started.
Well, it was so I went to University of Colorado. I went to grad school there in 95, and Ray Caruth was he was in Buffalo. So then he got drafted, went to the Carolina Panthers, murdered his girlfriend / baby mama, and then was trying to take off and had her in the trunk, something like this. So
wow,
this is why he was an active player.
What position was he playing?
He was like a wide receiver. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just assume, not because he murdered his girlfriend, but because he was a wide receiver, that he was he's a POC, he's a person of color, right?
Of course.
Okay.
I shouldn't say of course, but yeah, of course.
No, you're saying of course because he's a wide receiver. It's very rare.
Yeah, right.
You know, the whites, they don't run good routes. You know, even you look at Travis Kelce, by the way. He's like these people, they don't run good routes. Travis Kelce does not. He's good at finding open pockets and just, you know, he's a very visible, for whatever reason, he's a very visible receiver for Mahomes. He runs dog shit routes.
Yeah.
Why? Whites outside of Cooper Kupp, Wes Welker, Jordy Nelson, Cole Beasley run shitty routes.
By the way, and this is how you knew that he was not a white guy, which is if he's a white wide receiver in the NFL, likely you know about him because he's exceptional at his trade, right?
Or,
Steve Largent.
I mean, you never know. You go to University of Colorado, anything's fucking pie. You can get a white boy coming out of there.
To the NFL?
I mean, listen, at South Dakota State University, go Jacks, Dallas Goedert.
Okay, yeah, okay. Is he a wide receiver?
No, he's a tight end for the Eagles who
blew it. I'm wide receiver here, though.
Fuck the Eagles.
So anyway, the point of the kind of the story there was that I took on all my dad's teams, and it was great. My dad, by the way, he's a scout for the 49ers. They don't know it, but that's how he lives his life.
Oh, sure.
He knows.
I was like, what?
Yeah, he knows the details, you know, inside and out to a great extent. And it was a great relationship that we had, which was, you know, communicate. We still, you know, he'd call me up about the Niners games and stuff. So I love that. Now, what's also important is I don't care where you pick your team. Then when you move around the country, do you stick with that team or do you abandon them for the hometown that you now live in? That, my friend, is a shitty thing to do, and it's a liberal thing to do. Just if you want me to put it back to politics. I mean, you're a Panthers fan.
Is that more like what?
You're a Panthers fan still, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I picked them.
You see what I mean, though? You don't just like adopt the new team because that's where the city you are. Matter of fact, you hate I lived in Denver, and I hated the Broncos because I lived there.
Well, I tell you, I didn't really have an opportunity to follow anybody anywhere. I could have followed McCaffrey to the Niners, maybe. I didn't really have, like, Cam Newton
dad was a good receiver, a good white receiver.
Ed McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Was that his name? I thought for some reason I thought he was a white safety. Who am I thinking
Jason Sehorn.
No, I'm thinking of John Lynch.
Lynch.
That's who I'm thinking of.
He was by the way, see, you got those, once again, those white guys in those positions.
I fucking love white. I love white NFL guys. I fucking
But
love
Lynch
them.
was a beast. He would put the hurt on you.
Yeah, he was leading with the crown of his helmet, folks.
Right. And now he's like CEO of the 49ers. It's crazy.
Oh, is he?
No, yeah, he's like way up
I didn't
high
know
in
that.
the organization. Yeah.
He's like Bird with the Pacers. Big Larry Bird fan.
I could see that.
No, well, actually, I shouldn't even say that. Come from a big Larry Bird fan family.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother met him on multiple occasions. They knew each other to an extent, and not like I don't know. I don't know if they were having an affair. I don't know. It would explain my fucking disgustingly gross, ugly fucking family members.
Was your grandma, was she good at like the step back 3-pointer? Did she have that move?
No, she just was good at not liking any of the black players in the NBA, so she found Bird.
Which,
that's a joke. She wasn't as racist as they make her seem to be. She was a good woman. I've explained this.
Podcast?
She is deceased. She is deceased, and she is who's dead. It's I tell you what, folks. Speaking of the Bird Johnson rivalry, the Bird Magic Johnson rivalry, the fact that Magic Johnson is still alive and my grandmother isn't, she would have been. 20 years ago, you tell my grandma you die before Magic Johnson with his fucking gay shit, his gay AIDS. She goes, son, let me tell you something. He's got AIDS. It's no longer a death sentence. Life shifts and evolves. Science evolves. Which is why, again, we come back to the fact that seamlessly shaving your penis, the fact that it has not become something that is a standard in men's hygiene is absurd to me. It's inane. It's shocking. And quite honestly, a bit disheartening that there hasn't been more effort put into solving the problem. But you can't control everything. I can't control whether or not C.J. Stroud throws more than one touchdown pass. I can't control that. All I can do is put $5 in on an 8-leg parlay and hope it hits, and I get $300. And then I reinvest that money back into FanDuel and waste about 190 of it, but then finally hit 3 weeks later on something that gets me 200 more. That's all you can do. That's all you can do, folks, okay? There's not a lot that you can do. Let's tie this back to politics here. There's a lot of fucking people here. So
I've been waiting to talk about the Jews. Thanks.
We got the Jew tunnels. We got a lot of things. So a lot of people, they're wound up about the election, right? We just had the caucuses, the Iowa caucuses. And Vivek Ramaswamy did not, he couldn't pull it out. And Trump dominated, and we have Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Okay, so we have a psychopath warmonger who cheats on her husband, Donald Trump, and a fucking shoe, basically, just a person, just a fucking. I can't even come up. I'm having trouble coming up with more boring objects to describe his personality, because a shoe has more personality. It has color. It has arch support.
DeSantis?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, people are wound up. Like you talk to people about it. People are like, they're going to do everything they can to keep Trump out of the White House. It's like, okay, yeah. They're like, they're going to cheat. It's like, yeah, yep, they are. So why are you telling me this? Why are you upset? You can't change it. You're going to vote your way out of this. This is what I was trying to tie it back to. You don't have control over everything. One thing that you definitely don't have control over is the election. And if you think that your vote gives you a fractional piece of control along with your cohorts in this fucking beautiful God-graced country of America, you're fucking insane. So the question becomes, once you realize you have no control, what is, again, back to strategy, back to figuring out the formula, what is the next move here? Because nobody's content with with the options we've been presented. Nobody. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about realistic options. I'm talking about Josh Smith. I mean, yes, I would vote for Josh Smith if it mattered, but I won't vote because nothing matters, right? So what's the plan? Okay, so because voting again, campaigning, okay, maybe. I know Clint. I watched your show, and Clint Russell was all upset at people who were What did he say? He was hopeless or whatever. People were hopeless, and he was all upset. Okay, sure, I get that. Then what's the plan exactly? Because going out on the road with, and I like Clint. Clint's amazing, but going out on the road with Vivek didn't do anything.
No.
What's the plan here?
I'll tell you what the plan, and you and I need to start thinking about this. We need to be, part of what I said, and you're talking about my show that I did last night, which is you have the left, the right, the Jewish problem is similar to this. It's all about being victims, and you see, what's interesting about the Jewish portion is very similar to the conservative, which is they're very well fine taken care of. But you make a problem that suddenly you're the victim, and then what do you get to do? You get to sell chocolate bars. You get to sell some sort of boots, maybe a Patriot phone. All these kind of things where you can grift off of because you're scaring the bejesus out of everybody. And I think somehow you and I need to get involved. I don't know what we can do, but we need to say there's no viable options. Therefore, and then we need to have something in place to really, capitalize on this. I mean, but if you're really talking about the elections, I mean, there are people that, think that Trump is the savior. I don't know who the one on the left is going to be, because it certainly can't be Biden. I don't know, man. You're trying to depress me with all this. What's also interesting, and I haven't done any digging into this, is I don't remember people taking the Iowa caucus this serious. I mean, Ron Paul won it one year, and then why is Vivek dropping out after Iowa? Because it's a caucus. It's different than the other ones. Matter of fact, you look through there. I think Dean, what's his name, that screamed that once. I think he won it, or he was in second place. Yeah. So it's really, to me, I need to look back and see, but I don't think it's really indicative of how everything comes out in the end on the election part, on the primaries. Yet you had literally Trump took 2 scalps. Didn't Nikki Haley pull out as well? That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But at least
Nikki Haley did not pull out.
Okay, so he has 1 scalp, 1 Indian, which is Vivek, and it seemed weird that he came out of this when he did have some sort of momentum. But I think all along his whole idea was to kind of be a Trump sycophant. He
clearly shared a large portion of ideas with Trump. Is it possible, and I don't know how much you know about Ramaswamy, is it possible that there was a backdoor deal made with him to drop out early and partner with Trump, get some type of position in his administration if he wins?
So right before the caucus, Trump put out a kind of a scathing thing about Ramaswamy. He had not taken him on yet, and Vivek had this whole time had been somewhat positive about Trump. He was never putting him down. He was more going after Haley, a little bit more after DeSantis, but kind of playing the game where I the whole time I'm like, oh, he's angling for a place in his cabinet. And as soon as Trump said anything negative about him, his response was nice. And then he lost, and then he bowed out, and then he was I think there's some sort of deal in place.
And then did a feature set in his fucking speech after his victory.
Right. So I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
Oh, by the way, I played a clip of your show last night, I think. I don't know if you saw that part. Oh, no, I did not. I was going to.
No,
it
I was going to say.
And Steve, but instead I played Steve on his own show. So
yeah, I don't remember being in your show.
I had it queued up. I'm sorry. It was gonna.
That's okay. Here's something that I think a lot of people are really just glossing over as a real possibility, a likely possibility. And I've said this, I don't know if I said it last week or whatever. Biden might just roll in again. He might just win. I mean, it's clear that he is unfit for the job. But if people cared about that, there would have been more backlash already. People, obviously, it's not something they care about. This is like when people, this was like when the liberal media was saying, oh, Trump, he's corrupt and he's vulgar, he's lewd, and he's not lewd, rude, and maybe lewd. And he was saying like, oh, he's like, I could walk in the middle of Fifth Street, New York, shoot somebody, I wouldn't lose numbers, which is right. If people cared about this issue, there would have been some type of backlash already, and there hasn't been. So if you think that Biden won't win because he's a corpse, you should look for other reasons as to why he might not win, because that's not going to be the reason.
Yeah, look, the Democrats will, and I was just thinking about, I was trying to remember, Paul Wellstone, he dies. I'm trying to remember if the election that took place after that, if that's not the one. It was another one, I think, in Pennsylvania, where the guy's running. He ends up dying before the election, but they can't remove him off the ballot. So they still elect him. Okay, this is how, how crazy things are. So, and then his wife was appointed because, of course, she's just as qualified. So, and this goes on both sides. I mean, I'm not just, picking out the Democrats. So when you say they're going to wheel out Biden, you go, wow, are they really going to do that? And then you're going to argue, Fetterman, he was elected. You have complete, but then, look who's going against. I don't know what's going to happen. Biden is so out there to me right now. He's just, losing it. But of course, they're going to run him. And I'm looking forward to to it. And actually, I want to have some discussions with some liberals who are like, want to actually think he's a good pick,
Well, anybody who has to stay on brand with, oh, he's a good candidate, they're not going to be willing to talk. These are like TikTokers, basically. We're paid by organizations who tell them, you say this, you talk to this person, because there's no actual a person who goes on a podcast who's independent completely from any political source and says Joe Biden is good. Right? Now they might come on and say he's better than Trump, which is also delusional. Is an argument, because Trump is more of a sound mind when he was in. Biden doesn't know what he's doing. So maybe
you can see that even right now, just going along, that Trump. It does blow me away when you look at the age, and then you look at the age of our oldest presidents before, Reagan, and these guys are older than when he left office. So it's a little. And Trump is mentally, he's there. He's just as mentally there as he was before, which means, okay, is he going to pick Vivek? Look, for whatever you think of him, he is a very intelligent guy. And I don't know that that's necessarily who Trump likes to pick. But
he won't pick him for
TV, so
he won't pick him for vice president. Vice president, he needs a fucking dud. But he might pick him for, like, I don't know, Secretary of Transportation, something like that. Something like wherever Pete Buttigieg is. That's where you're going to put Ramaswamy, where he gets on TV, but not too much, right? Because Trump has to be the guy. Right. With Biden, they didn't necessarily, when they were rolling out this blueprint for his administration, they didn't really want him to be the front man for the administration. He was the guy, he was taking care of business. He didn't have time to fucking talk all this shit. Trump wants to talk all this shit. He can't be outdone by somebody in his administration. So if he does become involved in the Trump presidency, if there is one, he'll be something, whatever.
Yeah, you're right. Transportation, or what was Ben Carson? It's Health and Human Services or something.
Yeah.
Which, Ben's obviously a very brilliant guy. He seems kind of dumb in political terms. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about if Vivek is. He seems much more put together. Like I said, I just am not been impressed with Trump's picks. For who he likes around him, and it's typically it's like a game show. If he rolls the dice on, or if he's seen him on a game show, they're more likely to be on his cabinet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's tough to know because there's been a lot of goings on
Yeah,
in the Trump family.
we have New Hampshire the primary coming up. What, next week?
Soon. But again, just to circle back, anybody who's getting if you're getting any type of riled up about this,
Right.
listen, I get it. Politics is a passion. Okay, sure. It shouldn't be, but sure. I don't get why people like knitting. People sometimes don't get why I like vigorously masturbating on the couch. People don't know. So I get it. People have different. But if you, again, even if politics is a passion, you can't look at the field and go, we can make change. We can effectuate change. You can't with this. If you want to effectuate political change, the goal should maybe be different. We should be taking a look at the IRS. We should be taking a look at the Fed. We should be taking a look at BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard. Those should be maybe areas of interest. The presidency, I don't know.
There's times when I want to be just ruthlessly like a dick about all this. Like, I don't care, kind of I'm not going to vote, da da da. And then there are parts of me where I think that, there can be some changes. And honestly, where I think it might be, which it depends on, and this is, I guess, maybe where Trump is important, through the Supreme Court. And if you look at, without getting into too much, the 14th Amendment, which everyone's getting excited about now because there's got this provision about, treason and not being able to run for office.
I don't even know what the amendments are. What is the 14th Amendment?
I
know what the 19th Amendment is.
It's prohibition. No, the 14th Amendment came in right after the Civil War. And what they said was, we want due process. And so there's multiple clauses in it. It's like 5 different clauses. But the main one that's been used for since like 1867 when it's put in place is about due process, but it's through the states. So typically you look at the Constitution, there's the 5th Amendment, which is due process. That's all about due process only for the federal government. Okay. Now they said in the 14th Amendment and due process of the states. But the idea there was that you can have black people actually being able to testify in court and that kind of thing. What really happened with it, now they took the 14th Amendment and they said, oh, what it actually does is it takes all these amendments and that means that they are now incorporated to the states. So before, the Second Amendment, as an example, only meant that the federal government couldn't restrict your right to have a gun. Your state government could. And it was always understood that way. Matter of fact, it didn't even change that. It wasn't incorporated until like 1996 or so, or like 2006, I think. So anyway, slowly but surely, all these amendments have now been incorporated. So my point on this would be, we saw with Dobbs where they started to pull the string and take away what's called substantive due process. It's kind of it's a court-made doctrine. But if they were to just eliminate the 14th Amendment, suddenly all the states would have the right to do whatever they want. California would have, unrestricted gun laws, I'm sure. But you might have Tennessee that would be free and open. So suddenly you're back to like a federalist type of government where the states, which was intended, the states would have a lot of power. And I don't know if we can get there, but Dobbs' decision and the way Thomas and some of these had their ideas in there, I think there's actually a shot. And so if people want divorce, they talk about splitting up and Texas. Just eliminate the 14th Amendment, and by virtue of that, you have it. Was that good?
Yeah, I guess is there any real indicators that repealing this could happen in the next 25 years, say?
I say no, but yes, because once again, the Dobbs decision, what that ended up saying, and
When was this passed? When the 14th Amendment?
like 1867.
Okay.
But what's interesting is while it was passed then, this incorporating all these different amendments to the states, that's the problem you have, right? And look, conservatives, libertarians, I've made comments about with him. They're like, look, you can't have this gun right that you have, or the Second Amendment, and they talk about something happens in a certain state. They're like, the Second Amendment protects you. I'm like, I get it, but you're taking that's a very progressive point of view, which is what the courts have been molded as at this point, which is that these amendments actually apply to the states. And when that happens, now those states don't have their own power, because most of these constitutions, state constitutions, have their own provisions for, it's basically replicates the Bill of Rights. I'm an extremist on this, I'm telling you.
On the repealing of the 14th?
I would love to repeal the 14th Amendment for all kinds of reasons. But like I said, it would instantly give each
It's
state
weird
a ton of
how
power.
the repealing of that would immediately impact the influence of the other amendments on different states.
Yeah.
Because you could be a free speech maximalist. Boy, that has been on my timeline.
You said that last week with Steve.
Yeah, it's on my timeline. I don't know. It's just that and fight videos right now. It's the algorithm, folks.
Right.
You could indirectly impact somebody's freedom of speech in Oregon, say, by repealing the 14th Amendment. Right? You could actually lessen how effective that First Amendment is in guaranteeing free speech in the country if you repeal the 14th Amendment. Same thing with the Second Amendment, right?
So, if you repeal, look,
because theoretically, if you give power to a state with a leader who doesn't necessarily want to, maximize the efficacy of the influence of the First Amendment in his state, his or her state, probably his, but probably hers actually, because that can actually minimize the protection that the First Amendment actually has on the country. So
yes,
you know what I mean?
You're exactly right. Matter of fact, one of those it is near and dear to me, which I deal with all the time, is okay. So the courts went through this and they came up with this idea, these unenumerated rights. They say they're not laid out in the Constitution, but you actually have them. So they're called unenumerated, and that became what's called substantive due process. With that, they came up with this idea that you have fundamental rights. Okay, so these fundamental rights, right to have a family, and there's multiple, and they've just determined what those are. That was one that was kind of abortion was kind of in that vein, and that's what kind of got stripped away with the Dobbs case and the Roe thing. Okay, but the fundamental rights, one of them is to be able to have, as a parent, to do whatever you want for your kids. And that's very important in what I do with family law, and it's part of your fundamental rights, right? So you have this.
Hot topic in California, being able to have full...
It should be, and this is one of the aspects you can try to push back to all this nonsense. The problem that a lot of these people have in California and all around the world, or around the U.S., is they are now divorced or they're never married, and so now the state just pushes its way in because you allow them to. You file a case in court, hey, you bring in the state involved, CPS, those kind of things. Point is, the fundamental rights with the 14th Amendment and how it extends out to the states is good, right? And so is the Second Amendment. But I would still rather live in a place, be able to pick my own state, because each state has its own constitution, and for the most part, you have a lot of those same exact protections there. So I would still, even if the Second Amendment went away in California, then I would go to some place where it's not going to go away, and I think you would have a much, much stronger migration for these kind of things. I could be completely wrong, but that's how our system was set up. Through the early 1900s, it was still progressing that way. So
it's a promotion of dynamism almost.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Well, if you repeal the 14th Amendment and you're in California and things get real shitty there, it promotes moving,
Oh yeah,
being dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
Dynamism. Is it a word? Nobody will ever know. We have some queued up videos that I want to get to. And one of the things that you just did is display your intellectual prowess. We obviously know that you have a background in law, and one of the very basic communication or interpersonal relationship that a person has with their attorney is advice.
Yeah.
You're asking for advice. This woman is looking for some advice, and this is just right up your alley. Now, I don't know if this is familial. I don't know, but she has a question, and it's a very simple question. But it's a simple question, but the answer, I'm sure, is quite nuanced and complex.
Anybody tell me what can I do with these ladybugs?
Is that it?
Yep.
There's so much there. Would you mind?
Would you like to? Yes, I figured
please.
you'd like to.
Can anybody tell me what can I do with these ladybugs?
So one, she has meth mouth. You can see by the way her jaw drops down. The teeth are probably gone, or she'd had dentures and they're gone now, and so it doesn't support her jaw anymore, and that's why those.
Yeah,
lines
she's
are
not
there,
thin enough to have meth mouth. She just she rotted them out by eating
Absolutely
fucking
true.
candy and
Absolutely
just
true.
not brushing.
I would say, yeah, she rotted her mouth out some other way. Yeah, good point. It's the ladybugs have been collected. It makes me wonder. Okay, so did she buy them at the store? My wife just went and bought some crickets for her son's lizard.
So here's this is where we don't want to get into. This is the gray area as an attorney. You don't necessarily want to know where she got the bugs.
Good point.
Okay, you don't want to know where she got the ladybugs. Just for anybody who's listening.
Deniability.
Plausible deniability. Anybody who's just listening audio only, this is a morbidly obese woman who does not have her dentures in, who clearly lives in Lake County, fucking California. I think that's where the gross people live in California.
They're all over.
And yeah, this is actually a 14-year-old in Fresno. She has one of those little what would you call it? A cup? Capsule,
a little to-go container that's
of like ketchup. You get condiments in these,
exactly.
And you go. And she has it full of ladybugs, and you can't really tell from the video that they're ladybugs, but she says they're ladybugs, and we're going to go ahead and trust her. And so, Tyler and I are going to be her team of her legal defense team. We don't want to know where she got the bugs, but she needs to know where what should she do with those ladybugs.
I'm not even sure they are ladybugs. I mean, it's really, it looks probably more like, what do they call those, roly-polies? I don't know what the actual name of those bugs are.
Yep.
But, I mean, I don't see, do you see any red? Could be the underbellies we're seeing there.
I don't see any red.
Do you want me to actually answer her question?
Yes.
What should I do with these ladybugs? I don't know. Looking at her, she's probably a meal of some sort. I mean, maybe this would be a good diet for her. You can crush them up, make a little paste.
Can we? I'd like to investigate slightly further. I would like to play this back and see if I can observe any movement in that cup.
Okay, I think I saw him.
Can anybody tell me what can I do with these ladybugs?
Okay, yes, and there is. I mean, this thing is full. This is a filled up cup of ladybugs or whatever.
I think it's more like moths of some sort.
Yeah, they don't look like ladybugs. I mean, listen.
How dare she misgender him like that?
True.
That's
True.
bad. Sorry.
Listen, we don't have all the facts. We don't have full context. Sometimes you have to work off of that, though. You have this is the information that we have. We know that this is a woman who's clearly in almost a state of distress. She's from me, and this is what I can gather from the video. She has asked multiple people and has not gotten an answer because she's clearly frustrated. Her tone says to me frustrated. She's had to repeat herself over and over again. Some people may be ignoring her. Others may be saying, I don't know. Some people might say, where did you get those ladybugs? Much like you did. She might say, that's irrelevant. What do I do with them? I have them. What do I do with them? Okay. What does she do with them, Tyler?
Well, let's go back just because I think you're making sense here. This is a lady who, for even how she looks, some one of her family members, I'm assuming her son or her husband, has collected these. They've left them on the counter. They're still flittering around in there, but they're not red anymore. They're black. Something's wrong. They've been eating the soil that's in there. She's now frustrated. No matter how bad she looks, she's still like, I don't want these in my kitchen and or bathroom or wherever she has them. So she is inquiring on probably her husband, looking at her, her son. I mean, he's probably not there. So she's asking her husband / nephew / husband, what do I do with these? And so that's the problem. Now, what should she do with them? I don't know. I'm falling apart as a comedian here. Throw them away, I guess. Plant them back in the ground. Save the earth a little bit.
All good answers. Obviously, there's no one right answer. I would say, quite honestly, miss, you seem like a good woman. You seem like you've lived a very difficult life, and I wouldn't want to put any additional stress on you. So what I would say is, because I can guarantee you she did not poke holes in that container, just set it down on the counter and let it let them all die. They're all going to suffocate, okay? They're going to run out of air. They're going to die. When that happens, then you know exactly what to do. You've limited your options, right? If you know they're all dead, you can dump them in the toilet. You can throw them away. You can throw it outside and keep the container, wash it. You should probably keep the container and wash it. You look like you're a little low on funds. So that's what I would say. Don't add any. There should be no additional stress in your life, miss. As your power of attorney, I would say put them down anywhere. I don't care. Anywhere. On the floor, on the chair. Yeah. You can hold them. You can just hold the container if you want. Don't do anything with it. Just let them suffocate. And then now you're just talking about methods of disposal. You've limited what you have to do with them. That would be my advice.
Was this just because I'm always curious about people posting stuff on the internet?
Well, before you actually say that, how about we take a look at this one if you're curious, okay?
Yeah, let's keep going. Chris Tucker, why did you've gone so far?
I like to give a little recap for the audio-only listeners. This was an African-American gentleman who was holding a box of, it looked like 3 rolls of sushi.
It looked good.
Yes, very. Looks like West Coast sushi to me. And somebody was drizzling what looked to be spicy mayo. And he was making those noises, and he was kind of dancing around like a little child. He was attempting to show childish excitement, is how I would say he was behaving. And I'm very glad that you asked the question prior to me showing this video. The curiosity as to what drives these people to post these types of things. Now, there's a white woman behind the man the whole time. That's true. This is a Latina of this is a light-skinned Latina. And is it a food truck?
Well, I see it looks like a wheel well near the bottom there. And so I'm assuming, food trailer of some sort.
Let's watch this one more time before we discuss this, because I guess now I'm second guessing that it's sushi, because if you're getting sushi from a fucking food truck.
I think it is, though, because not only is it sushi there, you can see up on the window the advertisement. So I think it is, but just because it's a sushi food truck, I mean, look, a black man's getting sushi. That's all. Anyway, play it again.
All right. Those puckering noises was him licking his fingers.
That's a guy that's taken a few loads to the face. He's
Yeah. So, this just disgusts me. I'm going to remove this from the screen.
thanks.
It's a good question. What drives people like the Ladybug Lady and sushi guy? What is the obvious? I guess the question shouldn't be what is the goal. We know what the goal is. Okay, the goal, particularly with the black guy, is views, attention. Right? Very simple. Very, very simple. It's really the main driving factor of it's why I'm doing this right now. It's completely, I get it. What about that completely erases their ability to analyze whether or not the content they're going to be posting will be received by the audience as good, bad, or any of the adjectives you could put in between those two? What is it that, because for some people, the drive for attention, it just, once they want it, that light switch that says, hey, I shouldn't behave this way because it's cringy or it's perceived as mean or dumb, that just goes off.
There is, and I've noticed this over the years, like you watch someone do a video and, it's them in the grocery store or they're on the beach or they're working out or whatever it is. And at some point you have to say to yourself, someone is filming this. Maybe they're and think of walking into this mess, right? You just happen to be getting cantaloupes and some guy is over there filming himself in the grocery store. And you're like, okay, that's one sad sack. I just saw this video of this girl and her boyfriend leaves. And so she's locking the door and then she's doing all these other things. And
I've seen that.
And I posted on Twitter. I'm like, I'm more concerned about the creepy guy that's falling around with a camera. Someone's filming, and it's always, obviously it's all set up. And anyway, it's such a narcissistic thing to do. And by the way, when we're done here, I got to go film myself making some coffee because I got some commercials things to do.
Listen, just push it out, baby. Who gives a fuck anymore? Who gives a fuck?
We say all that, and then for the most part,
folks, I have a video coming out of me shaving my penis.
By the way, your Santa Claus videos, I mean, and this is the difference too, which is there's cringe material like we just saw there. There's real life material which some hillbilly posted up of his mom. There's the weird Chris Tucker thing, and then there's the stuff that you do, which makes me just die laughing. The Santa Claus interviews. That's real comedy, people. So strive for something comedy. Quality.
It's very, very average, and it's
I'm
but I
easy
do
to
enjoy. I very much I do like it when you go over there and fucking like it and watch it. Listen, the black guy and me want the same thing. Tyler, me, and the black guy are on the same page. Particularly, I'm sure if this is an East Coast food truck, I'm sure he's just as disappointed about the Ravens Texans game as all three of us are.
Right.
Again, by the way, a lot of times I find myself questioning, because this is something I wouldn't do, right? This is just not something, I don't care what the drive for attention, how intense that was. I just would never do. I don't have the temperament. I don't have the tolerance for embarrassment for it, right? Because even at the slightest risk of this not being perceived as good and somebody like me taking this onto their podcast and then deconstructing it, just the slightest bit of that, I would go, I can't do this. Because this is insane behavior. But maybe you and I are the idiots. Maybe this is very strategic. Maybe there's a reason why this pops up on my social media.
Yeah, why are you getting all this algorithm?
Dude, the videos that I get are fucking insane. But when I watch that, I don't go, "Oh, I enjoyed that." But
no, I didn't either.
I'll watch
I guess
it
like a car wreck or something else.
Right.
You just kind of what's also interesting about both of those, which is I have 4 kids, 23 to 17, and they're funny kids, and they'll do videos, and but we share them within the family, right? And we're not posting them out to the world. Now I don't always know what they're doing. However, my wife, a few years ago, we came home. She hated the neighbor shares a little part of lawn with us in the front yard, and he had one of these giant blow up Santa Claus or snowman, and she got out of the car and started punching it to the point where she fell down. And it's a hilarious video. And yes, I did post it online.
Mm-hmm. It's good to embarrass your significant other to make sure that you hold the place of dominance in the relationship.
Right.
And I respect that.
On TikTok,
and get views. Listen, you have to compete with these black guys doing weird sushi videos. What are you going to do?
Right.
Okay, you can't just listen, folks. Let me tell you something. I can tell you from experience. Podcasting is getting me nowhere. You need to make short form videos that do jump cuts and say things like unalive myself instead of kill myself or suicide. You have to follow the shit. Let me tell you something. This is my least favorite fucking genre of social media content. It is this. It's like a for Gen Z women by Gen Z women political analysis. It's on TikTok. It's these retarded girls talking about how Trump is, if he gets in, it's gonna be a dictatorship, and Ramaswamy was a conspiracy peddling something. I don't know. They pop up on my girlfriend's TikTok sometimes, and the nice thing about my girlfriend is, this is so funny. Sometimes I think, do devices share algorithm preference? I would assume so, because sometimes like shit that I know would show up on mine show up on hers, and it's completely out of character for what she consumes on social media. But I'm assuming because she's a Gen Z woman that I'm assuming there's parallels or there's adjacencies as to what she listens to versus Gen Z women who listen to the political shit. My girlfriend is in no way, shape, or she didn't give a fuck about politics at all. She does not care. And I hear them pop up sometimes, and even if she doesn't listen to they're like a minute long usually, because that's all the Gen Z brain can handle at one time.
Right.
But she'll get like 5-10 seconds in, but that's all you need to understand that these women.
Are they doing political takes?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a. What did I do? How did I say it? The Gen Z, like it's made by Gen Z women, only for Gen Z women. That's the only lane of communication that this really sticks, and it's just the most retarded takes you can think. A lot of like colonialism pops up a lot. You're on stolen land. Trump's a racist. Not a ton about Biden, other than maybe to be pro-Palestine. I will say, I don't mind the little anti-Israel sentiment that pops up every once in a while.
The ones I hate the most are these TikToks, and it's one person, right? And it's typically a girl doing this, and she's two characters. So she's jump cutting back and forth, having a conversation. She puts on a hat to be the guy, and then she's the girl. Oh my God.
Hi, Mimi.
So those are the worst.
This is my three-legged cat, by the way, and she is a Nazi, and I have only supported her in her endeavors. Okay, just to be very clear.
Okay. I have a three-legged dog.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why does he have 3 legs?
Cosmetic.
I don't. You know what's funny? I nodded and I was like, "Oh, really?"
No, so what's funny is we had this. It was at Thanksgiving, and my nephew has this new girlfriend. She's in med school, and first time meeting her, and she comes out with a big table of, there's like 20 of us or whatever, and we're talking and talking about our dog having its leg amputated, and she's serious, and she asked me the question, and I did that straight faced. I said, "Oh, cosmetic reasons," and the look on her face. Yeah. No, it had cancer in his paw, and we got it removed, and then in her paw, and then got it removed, and then it came back, and so it was going to be like $20,000 to go through chemo and all this other stuff, and it was just It's already an 11-year-old dog. Cut its
It
leg
was the
off,
same.
and it's
That's the
perfectly
same
fine.
exact thing.
Yeah.
With Mimi. She had cancer in her. I guess the term would be knee. I don't
Okay.
know. Around where a knee would be. They were like, you could do chemo, and I'm like, we could. What else could we do? And they took it off, and she is fine.
Yeah.
She's actually up.
Go,
She's clearly up on surfaces she shouldn't be. So she's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know if you and I are the idiots in these black sushi guys are strategic, or they just lack a self-awareness that you can't even imagine. But it doesn't matter because we're rounding it off with a returning character, a returning gentleman. I've admired him from the day he started his internet journey, or I should say the day I discovered this gentleman. He's let me do his intro, and then I won't say his name, and then you can guess. He's been on my show. I've had him on a few of my Patreon exclusive shows. It's a beam of beautiful, angelic light in a dark, dark world. The dark world and dark mentality that Clint Russell is attempting to make you not fall into. Which, by the way, Clint, Libertarian Mises Pieces Caucus. You want a little light? You want to bolster positivity within the community? I would recommend reaching out to this gentleman and getting him on your side. Perhaps making him a spokesmodel, a front man, right? Somebody let him put a face to the name, folks. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I've played this video of his. If I have, I apologize. I've gone through probably all of his videos, and it's very difficult to keep up. But I have an archive of his videos in my mind, and this is the one that I picked because I like it. Before I say this gentleman's name and bring him onto the screen, and those of you who have been with me for a while you'll immediately recognize. Doesn't matter if you're video or audio listener, you'll know the voice. You'll know what you'll see him. You know who he is. Tyler, who do you think it is?
I want to say it's that French guy that's really good looking, had the tight white pants. We've watched him a few times.
Do you know the name of the gentleman? Because you are right, but do you have his name?
I don't remember his name. Jean-Pierre
Nope.
Lapinus.
No.
Francois.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Or Belgium. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. It's your show.
Jeremy Fragrance.
That's right.
Don't talk so much about is Perry Ellis 360 Red. I love it, man. It's the dildo of the fragrance industry. And yeah, it's not so funny actually. Still don't know how to talk about the topic of masturbating. It's difficult, man. I do it, but I don't come. And it's like if I can be that honest, but it's simply to boost my power type of vibe. All right, ultimately, of course, I want to have a girlfriend and a wife. Turning that girlfriend into a wife and have great kids. So that's Perry Ellis 360 Red.
That's Perry Ellis 360 Red, baby.
The a little bit of ADHD. I don't know. Had he been talking about masturbating prior to that? Because that was a really odd segue.
So he has this thing of he clearly, his persona is like cool guy.
Yeah,
like
clearly.
But he has this level of innocence and vulnerability to him that makes him extremely likable. And like that's a case of that, right? Where he clearly wasn't afraid to share that, right?
No.
Because he's making these videos. He knows he can just cut it. He can just redo it. He knows that. He could just redo the video. He could just and seem cooler, but he didn't. And I don't know if like I said, whatever it is, and again, this is just, I don't think it's, I think it certainly is a portion of this is a lack of self-awareness, sure. But whatever that was, it seems to come from a place of innocence and vulnerability. Like I'm just sharing. Right? I'm not trying to be cool or funny or this. I masturbate and I don't come, and it's a very weird thing with me. And I want a girlfriend and I want to make her my wife. So I don't have, and I know where he's going. I don't want to have to masturbate. I want to be able to have sex with my wife every night so I don't have to worry about this weird, masturbatory conundrum I find myself in.
But it makes you wonder, one, why are you doing it if you're not, releasing? That's bizarre. And by the way, he looks like a prima donna, and his videos.
God, what a fucking therapeutic way of saying I fucking came all over my chest. Did you release? Why would you be self-pleasuring if you're not releasing, right. Jeremy?
Yes.
No, by the way, he said that. He said he gave you an answer to that. Let me replay this. Please, Tyler, you need to put your listening ears on, okay?
I don't talk so much about is Perry Ellis 360 Red. I love it, man. It's the dildo of the fragrance industry. And yeah, it's not so funny, actually. Still don't know how to talk about the topic of masturbating. It's difficult, man. I do it, but I don't come. And, it's like if I can be that honest, but it's simply to boost my power type of vibe. All right, ultimately, of course, I want to have a girlfriend and a wife. Turning that girlfriend into a wife and have great kids. So that's Perry Ellis 360 Red.
Wow.
First of all, did you catch why he masturbates?
Yeah, I don't believe him. Yeah, to build more. That's his excuse. He can't, because I don't think he said, I choose not to. He said, I can't. So he really did. He's like, okay, well, I need to have another. Oh, you know what? These guys on the internet, they're telling me that they do this and then they don't release, as the doctors would say, and therefore it like holds us all inside. And then I'm more man because of this. No,
maybe he's not misunderstanding semen retention.
Look, he's a prima donna. I bet for him to do it, it's a whole scenario. And by the time he gets it all set up, then he's not, the certain couch has got a bearskin rug that he lays down on, and it's all these things, these different fragrances. And then he starts to get into it, and then he has to get up because the porn's not right or whatever he's looking at, maybe pictures. He's probably, he has one of those
I don't talk so.
Yeah, that.
Go ahead.
He has one of those picture frames with his just digital pictures on there of himself, and it just rotates through, and that's what he's doing it to. And it's just not working. So now he has an excuse, and he's disappointed.
So what and first of all, you never talk that way about my beautiful, beloved Jeremy Fragrance. He is a man of strategic methodology and decisive behavior. He's a man of routine. And he is a man of this is a man who is who I would consider a leader of the global intelligentsia. What I like about it is his transition from the topic of masturbation to his love life desires. If you listen to the transition, for whatever reason, it seems like somebody pressed him with questions when he was just talking to himself. Right. If you listen to the transition into that, it seems like for whatever reason, he almost felt as if somebody was grilling him with questions to make him just get it out.
To boost my power type of vibe. All right. Ultimately, of course, I want to have a girlfriend.
All right.
And
I'll
a
answer.
wife.
Right.
And then he had to clarify. Well, the girlfriend and the wife. Well, I mean, I would start her with the girlfriend and then make
right.
And this all happened because he said this is the dildo because it looks like a dildo of the fragrance. And
right.
Then he's like, well, I got to talk about masturbation. Here we go again.
Hold on. I need to
that girlfriend into a wife and have great kids. So that's Perry Ellis 360 Red.
Okay, so that will be the title of this episode, Perry Ellis 360 Red. Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me what else could I name this fucking episode? Perry Ellis 360 Red.
You're completely right.
Perry Ellis 360 red sounds like a fucking something a quarterback would say when he's calling out a snap count.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Pretty gay though.
Pretty gay. Listen, you're all. Here's what. Again, let me fucking come to the defense of my beautiful baby boy, sweet Jeremy Fragrance. All European men are gay. Okay, all Western European men are gay. Eastern European men are not gay, and they don't like gays.
Or secretly gay.
Know your Europes. Speaking of calling out a snap count, 49ers are playing the Packers, and so we got to get going, folks. I didn't even do a proper introduction of Tyler at the beginning because we just jumped into conversation. That's how that's what type of rapport we have.
Right.
So please exhaust yourself with plugs.
Tyler Janke, a Libertarian Podcast Review. I'm also doing, and by the way, you're going to come on my show the 2nd of February. Please, I hope you have that down. I do a knockoff of Kill Tony, and you are the special guest. You're Roseanne Barr at my table. You get to sit up there, and people are going to come in, and they're going to rant. The topic is going to be whatever of the year, greatest this, worst that, whatever. So maybe you can think of some things, but February 2nd, we do that live. And if you guys want to participate, you could always jump in and just send me a DM and we'll send you a link. And I'm also producing Tower Gang. So I do a little segment right at the end, and we're trying to get those guys a little bit more professional.
You're producing the show from now on?
I have been for last month and a half or so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, tell them to
look,
fucking invite me on. Oh, they get fucking big guys now. Oh,
well,
big
just
boys.
so you know, you're in the chat and you make comments, and Clint told you to kick you out. I'm not going to kick you out, but I'm going to display yours, Zach. So you come in the comments, I'll give you primo.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Why did he?
I don't know.
He
You
did want to
said
kick
something
me
really
out.
funny about him.
Well, Clintoris, I need you back on my show because I only use people to get more fucking listeners. Because again, we all have the same desire of the Black Sushi Man.
Right.
That is attention. Now that need for attention may come from a lack of attention early in life, or it may not. Maybe you just are egotistical and narcissistic. I probably am the latter. But like I said, we got to go. We're football. We're football. We're big men. We're alpha men. We're talking to two. You listen to two alpha men talk truth. Okay.
Shaving balls and dicks and shit.
Listen, we're talking about shaving our penises. Okay. And after I shave my penis, I like to watch 4 quarters of hard nose, run it down your throat football. Thank you for listening. Fucking you guys.